Hi, it's the Constant Angler. I'd like to talk to you today about Jika rigs. As you can see, I have two versions in front of me here. I have one version which has a single ring and an EWG hook and a drop shot weight attached, which I've opened up the eye on a bit. This is your split ring here. You basically open it up, slide on a hook, open it up again and slide on your weight. So that's one version. The other version I like to use is two split rigs. I feel this gives a bit more movement to the bait, a bit more natural movement. The bait is affected less by the weight. What I mean by that is, with the single hook, I find this gets stuck in a bit of rack and it's dictating what the bait's gonna do. Whereas if this gets stuck in a bit of rock or rack or something like that, you know, this is free to move before it moves this split ring and moves the bait. So the bait will still be acting more naturally, hopefully. Any extra movement you get into your bait is a good thing in my point. I do have another version, which you can see here, which is pre-rigged at the moment with a shad on and has a little swivel on there. So two split rings in this case, a drop shot weight. Do like them, prefer them really to the Arsley bombs. They seem to just sit nicer. And a swivel. This again will prevent tangles, but you should still get enough feel of that weight tapping on the bottom as you're fishing it. Right, let's show you how I rig a bait. You're basically Texas rigging like you do with a Texas hook. I've got a tube here, which is an excellent bait to use with a Jika rig. So it's in through the nose. Don't take it down as far as you necessarily would with a traditional Texas rig. Up and over the hook keeper section. You'll see you've got less room at the end here. You don't want to, well, you can't go over the split ring. So that's the reason why I have it a little shorter when I pull it out of the belly. And then line up as we always do, where your hook's going to go through and pop your hook straight through. And there you go, there's your rig, tube, weight, split ring. Of course you can Texpose like we normally do. I always do this, so pull towards the eye of the hook and drop some plastic over the hook point. There you go, and as ever when a fish bites, boom, out comes the hook point. You'll feel it and set the hook. So what baits do I use? Well, as you can see, I've got four in front of me here now. These are the best baits to use in my opinion. Beaver baits, nice one made by Mollocks there. I think it's called the Sligozo. Tubes, large or small. I think this is a Big Bite Baits tube. Shads. This is something I get off this lure off eBay, made by a company called Meredith. And then crawls, whether they be swimming crawls or more traditional crawls. They're both good, they both work. This one is by Berkeley Havoc. I think it's the rocket crawl. All these baits work well. You can use other soft plastics, you can use any soft plastic you want, but I found these to be the best baits to use. So when would I use this rig? Here in the UK, I use this rig fishing off rock ledges in salt water into kelp-infested deep water. It gives me the advantage of the weight will stay with the bait. So unlike the Texas rig, if you unpeg it, where your weight could be 6 foot off to the right and your bait 6 foot off to the left, hung up in different areas, this will go to the bottom together and remain together, and it will punch through heavy cover better than an unpegged Texas rig. I also like to use this bait if I'm flipping to holes in cover. So if I was in fresh water, I could be flipping to holes in lily pads or weed beds. It can be used, it's very versatile lure. You can use it over clean ground if you want, or it's very good over broken ground and boulders. Experiment and see what works best for you. See what sort of ground is more preferable and gives you better results. So what are the pros of this this setup, the Jika Rig? Well, it's easy to make. You can make it yourself at home. You can buy ready-made products. They usually have a single piece ring, which gives even more movement than the split ring that you're going to use. Your lure remains more level. If you're tapping the lure on the bottom like this, you'll tend to find, say I've got a craw here. This craw will remain more level than a Texas rig, where it will be like this or like this, up and down every time you twitch. Because of the maneuverability here, it will stay more level, so it looks more natural. Of course, you can, if you're hopping a lure the same as a Texas rig, it will do the same. But you do have this advantage of a more natural-looking lure staying in a more horizontal level position. And at times that can be the difference, especially if fish have seen a lot of baits chucked at them on Texas rigs. As I've already mentioned, the weight and the lure will stay together when cast out. So it's ideal if you're flipping into holes and cover. As long as you let it sink on a slack or semi-slack line, it will go straight down to the bottom. Another pro is you get great feel of the bottom here. You've got this weight directly below the lure, so whatever this weight is tapping on is going to travel up through your braid to your rod tip. So what about the cons? Well, it's not a free-running Texas rig where the fish can pull line without feeling the weight. They're obviously going to feel this weight quite easily. It's attached to the bait almost, so it's less sensitive in that respect. It can snag easier. There's more to get snagged here, but it's very good. It doesn't snag that often, just probably a little more than a Texas rig. It's more easy for the fish to shake the hook because it can use this weight here to shake out the hook and maybe throw the hook. It can happen, but if you keep a tight line, you're usually okay. So overall, I think the pros outweigh the cons, and it's a case of experimenting and see which works best for you. But probably the main advantage is the fact that, for me anyway, fishing in my area, is that these two, the bait and the weight, stay together when they sink, and I don't have to resort to a pegged Texas rig. Now retrieves. You can hop this bait, so you can get the bait to go up and down and up and down. I've got a tube on here, and as it comes back down, taps on the bottom, this skirt will pulse, and fish love that. You can also do the same with shads. Of course, their tails will get working then. As they go up and they go down, this tail will get going, and that drives the fish mad as well, so you're getting your vibration in there as well. And if you have crawl baits like this, this is a swimming crawl, this will get their flappers going like that as they go up and down, and obviously fish like that. If it's not a swimming crawl, then it'll tend to sit up like this in that sort of defensive mode that bass are so used to and switches them on. Beaver baits, obviously, the tails will go like this. You can also do what I call tapping in place. You can almost keep a lure in the strike zone for longer. I mean, with a crawl bait like this, I mean, you can imagine it like this. The bait will remain fairly horizontal, but if it's got floating crawls, they will pop up, and you're just dancing around in front of the fish, maybe when they're on beds, and that's going to drive them mad. A few people know, but you can actually swim lures. You can swim them close to the bottom because you've got this weight here, and you can feel exactly what's going on. The weight's going to transmit up the line as this, what's happening on the bottom, how close you are to the bottom as this swims along. Very good with shads, that. I tend to do a swim, pause, swim, pause, retrieve. Sometimes fish don't want to come up off the bottom. So there we have it, the Jika Rig. A very versatile rig, weedless, great sensitivity. You can really feel what's going on through the weight, transmitting everything up through your braid, up to your rod tip. It presents your bait in a more natural way. All good in my book. Thanks for watching, I do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to share and hit the notification bell icon to inform you of my future posts. Cheers.